Hey, Rock Gamers. I had a duel today in Mightiest Governor, and it brought up some questions by my opponent. I'll touch on them for a few minutes. One thing I'd like to ask is that if you're liking the videos that you're seeing so far, please subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything, it helps me out a ton. And like the videos. I much appreciate your support. Now, getting down to the question, he brought a Belisarius, a Aethelflaed, and a Sun Tzu to the duel. He was a 23 million player versus my 76 million account. It was, and I intentionally offered him a 3-for-1. He was looking for a duel. He couldn't find anyone right there, so I said, why don't you bring 3 marches? He took me up on it, and there's 2 different considerations in that to consider. He asked me, why did I attack his Belisarius march first? And I explained to him that as the one being outnumbered, I am looking to even the odds as quick as possible. Even a T5 against a 23 million T4, you need to even the odds as quick as possible. And because if you attack as the T5 player, if you attack their toughest march, the fight goes on longer than it needs to be. You're gonna suffer more sev wounds. You're gonna pay a bigger hospital bill. So you need to even those odds out as quick as possible, and then get it down to 1 march. So the way you do that is you target the weakest march. And since I had my Alex YSG march out there, I had all infantry. The Belisarius, which is all cavalry, is the weakest march in relation to my march. And Belly's a little bit weak to begin with, so that's the one I targeted. The Aethelflaed YSG march is the next one because it does a little bit more damage, but it's a little weaker march. So as soon as I'm done with the Belly, Aethelflaed is the next one, and then the Sun Tzu march is the last one. It's the toughest of the 3 marches he brought. That's going to be the last, and it's all infantry versus infantry. That's what I'm going to target, in the order I'm going to target. It's a little bit different scenario if you're the one outnumbering your opponent. And this applies against both a player versus player situation, or if you're barb fighting. And that is, when you attack, if you can at all control it, sometimes in the heat of a murder ball and that, you can't control it. You're launching your troops in to get attack as quick as possible. But if you have time and control, then your best option is to launch your launch your toughest march against them first. So, for example, when I'm out barb farming in KVK, I'm running a Lohar Richard march, and it's the march of the 5 marches I'm running. It's the march that I launch into the barbarians first, and it even up to the barbs that are in the high 30s through KVK 2 and 3. I can farm barbs for hours on end as long as that Lohar Richard is attacking first. And I have literally done 8 straight hours of barb farming in KVK 3 because, let's face it, it can be boring, and sometimes that's all you have to do in KVK 3. And when I started out, I had 216,000 barbs. At the end of 216,000 infantry troops in that march. At the end of 8 hours, that march was still over 200,000. It hardly suffered any sev wounds. It just, it dropped a little bit at a time from from the slightly wounded, but it's just so tanky against barbs. And the same thing's going to be when you're attacking a player. You're going to use your tankiest, toughest march to hit first. And I know what you're thinking, oh, but that's not what they hit. Sometimes you can catch an opponent where they're just hitting back the march that you hit with. That's why you want to hit with your tanky march first. Is hopefully you're catching that opponent that doesn't know to watch which march they should be hitting first, regardless of which you hit first with. So hit with your tanky march first. So I hope that I know it's going to be a short video for you, but hopefully that helps you determine that outnumbered scenario, whether you're the one who's being outnumbered or whether you're the one doing outnumber, what you should do to get the best results you can out of that duel or fight. Thanks for watching. Again, please like and subscribe, and have fun playing Rise of Kingdoms.